Hey guys, project-zodiac here. I'm back with another video, and as you can see, this is another unboxing, and it's another album vinyl record unboxing, and it's one I'm really excited for. I'm going to try to make this unboxing really short. I do have a lot to say about this album, but I kind of want to leave all of that for my album review, which I'll be doing a separate video for, and that's going to be a lot longer. I have a lot to say about it, and I'll be releasing it the same day as the unboxing for this. Now, keep in mind, this album came out in November. It's January right now. I just recently got the album, and I'm just really excited to unbox it. So this is a very special unboxing because it's of a very special album. So this is The Cure's newest album, and the album is called Songs of a Lost World. I love the name. It's something so poetic about that. And I'll go more into that with a bigger rant or rambling about all of that during my review for this album. But this album is, I'll just say it very quickly, it is fantastic. I would say my favorite is Wish, and then it's Disintegration. Like they're literally like spot one, spot two. And then Blood Flowers. But I think that Songs of a Lost World is a little bit better than Blood Flowers. Just a little bit, by like 0.5%. But again, that's all things I'll be talking about in my review of the album. But yeah, this album is fantastic. It's not my favorite of theirs, but it is so good. It's literally in the top 3. So this is special for a couple of reasons. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Let's just go straight into the unboxing here. So we'll talk about the artwork in a minute. I do want to quickly point this out. So we have here The Cure, and I love the font for it. It's a bit gothic in a way. It's really cool. And then we have here Songs of a Lost World in a stylized design with some spaces between each letters. Then we've got retail exclusive 1 LP marble stone heavyweight bio vinyl. We'll talk about that in a little bit as well. This is what's important. It's mastered by Miles Schuwell. This album has been mastered, I think, like 3 different times or 2 different times. And the release of the mastering for it is a bit confusing. We'll talk about that once we actually get the disc out. But yeah, this is the marble vinyl. I bought it in the US from Blood Records store. And it came with the Miles Schuwell mastering of the album. That's very important because this particular variant of the album on vinyl in other regions has a mastering made by Bernie, something that starts with a G at the end. And a lot of people don't like that mastering, but again, we'll talk about that in a minute. So I'm actually glad that this particular variant of it is the better master of it from what I understand. But yeah, let's just go straight into this unboxing. So over here on the side, we got The Cure, Songs of a Lost World, and then the back. So yeah, so The Cure, like I've heard a couple of their songs here and there when I was little and growing up, and especially really with the movie The Crow. And then a couple of songs here and there outside of the movie too. Their song in that movie is truly amazing. And I unboxed here not too long ago the 4K release of the original Crow movie because that movie is so good. I still have to see the remake for it. But yeah, I know a lot of people are a bit upset that they remade it, but I'm excited to see it still. But yeah, so I grew up hearing the not the Crow, The Cure here and there, and mostly it wasn't until about 2019 that I really started to hear the music of The Cure, like listen to all of their albums rather than just a few songs here and there. And that's actually very important for why this is so special. So now that we have the plastic out, you can kind of see that it's a deep matte black and it's such a beautiful picture. So funny story about this particular cover. So Robert Smith, the singer of The Cure, he saw this statue and he really loved it and wanted to take a picture of it and thought that it fit the theme of the album as a whole. And he kind of sent a message to the owner of the statue, and it turned out the guy died, but his wife said, well, yeah, you can take pictures of it. And then I think she gave him the statue. So he actually has this. From my understanding, it's about this size, maybe just a little bit bigger. So it's pretty cool. It is just like a rock, and then it's carved out to look like a face of a person. And I like it. I don't think it's The Cure's best cover album. Best cover art, but it works, especially given the tone of it. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. So again, now we have here Songs of a Lost World. And again, this is all in a stylized, spaced out format. Then we have here the back again, so you can see it better. Here are the songs, and I'll quickly just give my thoughts on them very quickly. But let's go in here. Okay, so there's nothing else in there. It's just black, very fitting for it. And then it looks like we got a poster, and this is really nice, thick paper too. So that's good that they actually wanted to put care into this particular poster. But yeah, it's just the album cover in a huge way. Okay, and then over here we have the sleeve and the inner notes. Here we go, first song. So yeah, there's a lot of heavy lyrics and songs here. So overall, it's really interesting. And then here we have the record itself, and this is such a beautiful color. Now I was thinking about getting either this one, this marble one, or the store exclusive, the Cure store exclusive, which is a white one. I'm glad that I was able to get this one instead of the white one, because I'll just leave this out. Just because this fits the aesthetic of the album a lot more. I do think it would be nice if there's a little bit more of some black splashes around there, but it definitely fits the overall aesthetic of this, and it makes me think of like moon dust or moon rocks. And the reason why I say that is because these songs on this album has a specific like texture to it that makes you think of moon dust, but still not being moon sounding or space sounding. It just sounds like a void, and then the one thing that has color, there's like the moon color with a lot of dust. And it's like think about you're walking through a forgotten ruins in the middle of the night, right? That's kind of what that imagery is supposed to be invoking, kind of like a solitude in a place that's deserted, and the only thing that's coming out with the light is just this white marbly color amongst the darkness. And so there's a little bit of light in there with the surrounding heaviness, and that's perfect for this album. Again, I'm not going to the album review here, I'm just talking about the cover art and why I went with this particular color. So this and it like the textures of it matches perfectly. So even though this is not my favorite cover art for The Cure, it fits the music so well, so I can't be mad at this because it just works. And then even the name, Songs of a Lost World, this I'll talk a little bit more about in my review of it. But when I first heard the album name, I I was thinking something more fantasy or dreamlike or really atmospheric. And yeah, things like that. Again, I'll talk about that a little bit more in my review. But this here is more of like a straight out 80s goth rock album. And it's so good. But the atmosphere of it and the lyrics of it matches this Songs of a Lost Road, like the album name, so well because it's kind of like Robert Smith reflecting on his world before, like in his life in general, and just thinking out loud of so many things. Um, so it's so reflective because of that as well. So not necessarily in the direction I wanted the album to go based off of the name, but it is so fitting of a name given everything that is made with this album. So this album is just so well done in terms of the cover art, the aesthetics, the presentation, the album name itself. It's just so well done. I think that this is really, really good in terms of that. Now, so yeah, I wanted to go with this one just because of that particular fact that it's most fitting of this particular album, and I'm glad that I was able to get this one because yeah, and the album is very, very interesting. So I actually wasn't planning to buy the album on vinyl, but the reason why I did, and again, this is a little bit of the review, but not really. This is more about just the vinyl itself. That's because I know that Robert Smith is already old or older, right? He's like 60 something or something like that. So he's not very, very old, but you know, it's something that he's very passionate about, still making music even though he's in his 60s. And the fact as well that The Cure is very influential. I own two of their albums on vinyl. I own Wish and I own Disintegration. I unboxed Wish in this channel as well if you want to see that. But yeah, the album itself, it just he made it with so much care and after so many years. So I kind of wanted to buy it to celebrate someone who is so passionate about his art, because he really is passionate not just about this album but about the music in general and about being fair to fans and standing up for other musicians as well and for the fans. Like, look up the Ticketmaster situation where he fought Ticketmaster to try to give the fans more affordable tickets. He always tries to play longer shows because he feels bad that people pay sometimes super expensive and then they're just there for like an hour and a half, maybe sometimes maybe just an hour, and the tickets are so expensive, so he tries to give people like a 3 hour show, 2 hour show. He it is very detailed in how he wants the music to sound in terms of the production. Like, he produced this album himself. I think it's the second Cure album that he's done that, but he's just very, very passionate about making the music, and you don't see that a lot. You don't see people in the art world really be passionate about their art, especially when they have a bigger following. And it's so sad. And here we have Robert Smith, who's much older, and his whole life has always been dedicated to making his art and giving people the value for it. And I think that that is beautiful and amazing. So seeing a lot of the interviews and hearing him talk about the art, it really made me appreciate this album so much more. And I thought it would be like a good way to celebrate everything that Robert Smith tries to do with The Cure as well. So Wish and Disintegration is because those albums are amazing. They're such good albums, like they're almost masterpieces in their own ways. This one is more because of how symbolic and artful the band is and how impactful as well. So that's kind of why I wanted to get this, and also because the build up for this album for me was very, very big, because I heard about the album soon after he announced it in 2019. And again, I'll go into this whole rambling during my review. So I've been waiting since 2019 for this album. It took about 5 years for it to come out, and him always saying, "Oh, it's gonna release this year. It's gonna release in a few months," and it just kept getting prolonged. But I know that hardcore, fans of The Cure and fans that are much older, um, The Cure hasn't released a new album since 2008. So for them, they've been waiting 16 years for this album. And, it's kind of like a celebration for that as well. Like, yeah, it's not just because of the symbolic nature of the art, but also the symbolic nature of me being excited for this album for such a long time, but also because of the fans being so excited for this album for so long. And it is a fantastic album. I do have a few complaints with it, but again, we'll talk about that in my review. So that's why I actually wanted to get this, because it is symbolic for that, and it is a fantastic album as well. It is a bit dark though. And let's just quickly talk about the songs, and then we'll talk about that mastery thing real quick. So we've got here Alone, fantastic song. Nothing's Forever. Oh, this song is so good. And The Fragile Thing, it is so catchy. War Song is very fun, and it is pretty deep, but I think it's one of the weaker songs on the album. Drone, No Drone, it's actually hilarious about this, because some of the lyrics here makes me think about the whole drone situation that's been happening in the US since November, starting after this album came out. So like the drone situation that people are saying like might be UFOs and things like that. I have my own thoughts on those. Short version is I'm pretty sure a lot of those is people just having mass hysteria. Again, I believe in UFOs, I believe in spirits and all those things, but I do think a lot of the whole drone situation was blown out of proportions in many ways. I'm sure that maybe some of those orbs that we were seeing could have been UFOs, but yeah, the whole drone situation I thought was really interesting. So I thought that it was funny that this one here, Drone No Drone, came out with the album of like 2 weeks before the whole drone situation came out. So it's kind of ironic that some of the lyrics regarding this kind of matches that, and the name of the title does as well. This song is really fun. It's a fun song. It's still a little bit deep though. This song, I Can Never Say Goodbye, it is so deep. And All I Ever Am is such a beautiful song as well. I keep trying to figure out which. So I do think it is one of the weaker ones. Like War Song, Drone No Drone, and All I Ever Am are probably the weakest songs on the album. But I do think I like All I Ever Am a little bit more than these two. But that doesn't mean that these two are bad either. So again, they're all fantastic songs. And then End Song. End Song is so weighty, because that is literally just Robert Smith as like a 60-something-year-old dude thinking about like, oh yeah, this is how I was when I was in my 20s and 30s. Okay, that's, a big thought that I need to be thinking of and reflecting on. So it is heavy. But it's all a fantastic album overall. Again, I'll go into a review of this in my video, which I'll be releasing at the same time. I'll record at a different day though. Now, I did mention the mastering. So I guess in other regions, the actual mastering for it, and I don't know why they did it like this, but here we go. Mastered by Miles Scholl. So the one that's mastered by Bernie something, I guess in other regions that's this record, the marble variant of it, and the Miles one is the black one, and I think the 2LP one. So from what I've seen of a couple of videos, it seems like the mastering for Miles is better. I'm not sure why in the US, or I think it's in the US, I'm sure it is. I got it from Blood Records website. That one, does come with the Marvel version being from Miles Mastering. Now, for those of you that don't really know, mastering is just like kind of like the final thing when you're making music. It's kind of like just adjusting everything, making sure everything is equal and all of that. So for some reason, at least that's how I understand mastering. If anyone knows anything more about mastering, and if I'm wrong, please correct me. But from what I understand, there's for some reason they decided to do two masterings for this, and one is really bland and the other one is a little bit better. I guess a lot of people just don't like this album on vinyl either way, because I guess that the mastering for it either way is really bad. Now I'm not sure which mastering the streaming and MP3 and digital format of the album is using, but it seems like people really prefer the digital version of the album over the vinyl and CD and cassette version of the album. But from what I'm understanding as well, the one that is mastered by Miles Showell is supposed to be the better master. Now, I don't know too much about how the differences in the sound is, because I don't really pay too much attention unless it's super distracting and very off-putting. So I'm sure that it's still gonna sound fine, but if you're a huge like audio file and like really really focusing on the audio and quality, from what I heard about the records, it might be a little bit I mean, I'm saying that I'm not like that, but I do actually care about the sound quality because music is important and you want to make sure that it sounds good. Of course, now some people need it to be super pristine and such a very specific way, but as long as it sounds good, it's fine, and I'm sure that it's going to be good either way. I think people that are going to be complaining with this is the extreme audiophiles, from what I understand. If you're just a regular audiophile, like you care a little bit about the sound quality, but aren't too upset if it's, not going to be the biggest, at least it sounds good and not like super compressed, then I think you're going to be fine. But that's just from what I understand of it. But yeah, that's why I wanted to talk about that as well and just share my thoughts on this. So I hope you guys watch my review on the album, because I do have so much to say about this album in that particular review. Again, I gave you guys a little bit of a snippet here with this, the ranking I would give it, and just some super general quick thoughts on the album and the songs itself. But I do ask that you watch the actual review so you can actually hear my full thoughts on this particular album, what I like, what I don't, and my journey with this album overall. So yeah guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll talk to you later. Have a good day.